Compassion actually comes from two Latin words. I studied Latin at university. Don't ask me why. The first word is the word for suffering, which is patior, P-A-T-I-O-R, and it's participle passus, which means suffering. And the com part, obviously, for anyone who knows any Spanish or Italian, is with. So compassion means suffering with. So to have compassion for someone is to suffer with them what they're suffering with, whether that's pain or grief or addiction or poverty or illness or even happiness. You can have compassion for someone's happiness, I suppose. Compassion makes me think of kindness. Compassion makes me think of forgiveness, of empathy. Those are the things. Compassion is kindness, forgiveness, and empathy. Lack of judgment, care, concern. Weirdly, I had this picture of a woman smiling. I don't know, that's the first thing that comes into my head. Compassion is about understanding. Compassion is without ego. If that's possible for actors. I don't know. As an actor, to have compassion as an actor is to have compassion for the characters that I play. That's what it means to me. And that whatever they're going through, whatever their predicaments, I have to suffer with them. I have to understand, and I have to not judge it. I have to be forgiving of it, whether it's a circumstance or their true nature. To have compassion for another human being or to have compassion for a character is no different from having compassion for another human being. If you're playing a character, to have compassion for them is to play them honestly. And so I suppose suffering with them is to suffer their arrogance or their misogyny or their insanity. I think that's why, for example, Iago is as compelling as Romeo, because within all of us there is the capacity to be anyone or anything. And that's the place where compassion comes from, is that understanding that I could be like that if circumstances had been different. There is an Iago and a Romeo within all of us. There is that lover and there is that sociopath. And so to play Romeo, you have to have compassion for his predicament. He's not allowed to marry Juliet, and that's really infuriating, to the point of rebellion, and then the predicament of Act 5 where they're in the coffin together. And to have compassion for Iago is to understand that he's damaged, he's hurt by all the people in the play that he feels hurt by, and that extends to every script I read, to look for the possibility of who that person is in me, and that's compassion. Yeah, that's it.
You must be truly desperate to come to me for help.
If we do nothing, they will destroy us.
You even think about betraying him?
I'll kill you. That was from New York.
I like her.
Hollywood wants to put you in a clear box a lot.
Yeah.
Let's get you outside the box every single time it happens. Magic.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't in a box in Warhorse. I was on a horse.
That's true, you were on a horse.
Yeah. Midnight in Paris, not in a box.
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea, not in a box.
Not in a box.
I'm in a box in this film. What can I say?
Exactly.
Think outside the box, guys.
Think outside of it, and then the magic will unfold.
Okay.
There's one line in this that I thought just hit like a sledgehammer, which was, "Satisfaction's not in my nature."
Thank you
loved
for
that.
picking that up. That's a first.
Do you find that that's true for you in your career with your work?
Oh no, I'm very happy. Yeah, honestly. I mean, I am a sort of inveterate self-challenger. I feel like I get to the top of a mountain and I go, oh look, there's another one. I'll go up that one. And that's how life is. That's how I keep myself. Can you hear that wind howling?
It's so dramatic.
This is the Loki room. But you know, there comes a point in life when you have to stop and smell the roses, because that's the point.
Sure.
You know, it's you know, my mum always taught me the value of knowing, recognizing, and acknowledging when you'd had a good day. You know, like, I know that sounds cheesy, but
No.
you know, there are so many bad days we all have in our lives. And it's like good to know when you had a good one.
The fact that you wake up in the morning and are able to take a breath on your own is a gift, you know, and it starts
Yeah.
as simply as that,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That perhaps it's a reason that, you know, you have such a great momentum and are in so many fantastic movies, is just being grateful. So
Yeah, maybe that's it. I mean, I love what I do. I love it.
It shows.
I'm so lucky to do it.
well, especially in a movie like this where Loki's so much fun, it looks like you're having so much fun.
Yeah.
And he's so naughty. And I wonder if maybe the most surprising fan interaction that you've had with someone who's familiar mostly of your work is Loki. Has anybody ever really shocked you with how they've approached you?
I was asked to do I was just recently in Sydney with the film, and I did a sort of a Q&A and a signing at a bookshop, and people asked me to do some interesting things.
Tell me more.
There was one very passionate, and she was actually sweet young girl who said, "Can we have a picture with can I jump into your arms and you carry me in the picture?" And I was like, sure, I guess, you know.
Look at you, Muscles McGee. Who needs Chris Hemsworth? Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. It was a good, what can I say?
I mean, lifting someone off the ground means you are kind to your fans, officially.
I thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And so much of your work is Shakespearean in nature. You know, even something like Thor. I rewatched the first one and was
Right.
very struck by it. And do you have a line of Shakespeare that always comes to you, or one of your favorites, maybe?
There are so many. I mean,
know.
he's the greatest.
Maybe if you were to get a tattoo,
Oh, God.
something that meant a lot to you that you returned to.
One that's come up it was sort of my attitude to acting is something that Bottom says to the mechanicals in Midsummer Night's Dream. Take pains, be perfect. And that's like a sort of like, there's a noble attempt in preparing, in trying. To thine own self be true is pretty good. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers is amazing.
And always lift thine fans off the ground when asked.
Okay, rolling. 1, 2, 1, 2. Hello, everybody. I've just seen an emergency lesson video by Yaroslav and Nastya in the Ukraine, and I think it's amazing. And it's really important as well. And I couldn't help noticing that Yaroslav had an Iron Man on his backpack, which I thought was pretty cool. I've got an Iron Man on my backpack, but don't tell anyone. They asked us, as you see, to share our best school photos. So I'm now going to share my best school photo with you. Please try not to make fun of my hair. This is 4-year-old Tom. in some very smart stripy trousers, which I may wear again someday. When I was this age, I didn't know I wanted to be an actor, but I was in a school play and I played Toad in The Wind in the Willows. So from that day to this. School is so much more than a building, as you know. It's where you meet your friends. It's teachers, it's protection, it's stability, and it's hope. And it's where you find out who you are and who you want to be. And for children like Yaroslav and Nastia, who are living through crises and conflict all over the world, school is as vital as food and medicine. Here's how you can help. The hashtag is emergency lessons, and you can help us celebrate the importance of school by sharing your favourite school photo with the embarrassing hair and sharing this video here. Loki. Thor. Probably Die Hard. Die Hard or Heat. Yeah. Popcorn. Oh, don't make me choose between those. There's room for sushi and cheeseburgers, right? Action and romance. I'm not choosing. What is this divisive nonsense? It's George Sanders as Shere Khan in The Jungle Book. A man cub. How delightful. There you go. You can't plan your performance when you're working with a horse. You know, the horse is just going to do its thing, and you kind of have to let it do its thing and respond to it. When I was interacting with the horse, you know, you had a real sense of just how the horse was feeling in that moment, and you having to roll with that. Of course, there are times when they're mischievous. There's one particular sequence in the film where Captain Nichols is biting his lip with sort of with fear and sadness. I think he knows what's around the corner, and he's going up to Joey to sort of give him strength and confidence. And Stephen wanted us both to be in a two-shot so that sort of his face was here and my face was here, and it would have looked very neat in the frame. And when the horse playing Joey was still, he was getting quite bored, so he kept drooping his head like this. And Stephen kept shouting through the bullhorn, "Tom, I need you to get his head up. We needed him in the shot." It's like, I know Stephen B's bored, he wants to go to sleep. It's like, never mind, just get his head up. And then every time I put his head up, he would move back out of the shot. So it's just very difficult. I was like, please behave, because Mr. Spielberg's not happy right now. And finally, I managed to get his head up into this two-shot. So he was there and I was here. And he sank his teeth into my shoulder. And then stayed stock still. I thought to myself, well, at least you're in the right place. Ah, you're such a sweet boy. And I swear, looking into his eyes, the horse was smiling. It was all real, except for the bullets in the guns, I'm pleased to say. Otherwise, we would have been stuffed. Yeah. Stephen had said to me when we first met, he said, "Tom, I don't want to do this with doubles. I want to do this with you. Are you good? Are you good to do this?" And I was just so excited. And Benedict and Patrick and I undertook 5 weeks of training at a stud farm outside London, where we were drilled, essentially like soldiers, every single day. Learning, first of all, basic horsemanship, learning how to put saddles on and bridles and reins, and then slowly learning the signals and the sensitivity that you need with a horse, because it's not a motorbike, it's a living, breathing animal. I think it was the middle of August in 2010 when we shot it, and it was my first day, and I was at the front of this line. And the camera was suspended on a mechanical crane on the back of a 4x4 called a Russian arm. And I was having to chase the truck, essentially, but stay within 10 feet of the lens, otherwise I'd be out of focus. At the same time, tearing across this open field at 40 miles an hour with 120 horses behind me, and 120 stuntmen screaming at the top of their lungs, crying hell fury, and the thunder of 480 who's ringing in my ears. I got to the other side of the field, there were tears streaming down my face. I was excited, I was terrified. It was, I'm sure, partly to do with the wind, but it was one of the most powerful feelings I've ever experienced. And I was so lucky that I got to bottle the excitement, knowing that I was completely safe, and that at the other end of the field, we were going to stop, come back and do it again. And there was a cup of tea waiting for me, you know, in the catering tent.
Well, you know, depends on what you'd like me to say as Christopher Walken.
I was in Berlin about a week ago for the German premiere of Thor, and I met a very famous Loki cosplayer. She asked me to kneel before her, so I did. And it was very thrilling, and it was a privilege to be able to sort of give back the love.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
I do have an army of amazing fans and supporters all over the world who are great enthusiasts about the work that I do, and I'm actually very privileged to have an audience like that. When the going gets tough, however, I would say that I lean on my sisters and my best friends, and I have just a very tight-knit group of friends who make me laugh. My favorite film is Heat. Pacino plays the cop, De Niro plays the thief. Pacino says to De Niro, he takes him up for a cup of coffee, he says, "So, you never wanted a regular type life?" De Niro's like, "What's that? Barbecues and ball games?" Pacino's like, "Yeah." I tend to get starstruck by tennis players. I'm a big tennis fan. And this summer I was at Wimbledon, I met Boris Becker. When I was a kid, he was the greatest tennis player in the world. And now he's a very famous commentator. I really enjoy listening to him. And isn't it funny that, anyway, that happens to be the person I'm starstruck by.
What makes you think you can trust me?
I don't.
There's a really good one in Thor: The Dark World. Thor says to Loki, "I wish I could trust you." And Loki's response is, "If you did, you'd be the fool I always took you for. Trust my rage." I was consciously wanting to do Shakespeare on stage, and then Josie suggested Coriolanus, and I didn't know it that well. I'd seen Ralph Fiennes' film, which I thought was terrific. But when I read it, I was immediately captivated by the drama of what happens when a soldier is pretty much against his will drawn into the political arena, because the conviction and the courage that you need to excel on the battlefield is very different from the skill set you need to make laws and to bend and dissemble and keep a sort of political equilibrium. And he's like a firework in the Senate in a dangerous way, because he has very belligerent, stringent views about how things should be done. And he unsettles the balance of power in Rome and becomes an exile and a kind of totalitarian fascist.
Wherein the Graver had a strife with nature to outdo the life. Oh, could he but have drawn his wit as well in brass as he hath hit his face, the print would then surpass all that was ever writ in brass. But since he cannot, reader, look not on his picture, but his book.
Well, comparing it to Hollywood, I mean, when you make Hollywood films, they give you the rewrites on the day that you shoot, and they are unfortunately not of the same quality as the ancient first folio that we've just seen. And I find it personally very thrilling in quite a sort of nerdy way to sit and hold these pages, which were printed 400 years ago. And because when as an actor, when you approach Shakespeare, you're always aware of trying to make language that is 400 years old contemporary, accessible, relatable, and new minted. because it's possible. The wisdom in it is and you know, human nature hasn't changed, and you're trying to open that up for audiences, saying, look, we're still the same. We still fall in love. We still fall out of love. We still fight with our fathers. We still create obstacles. We still suffer from what are construed as the 7 deadly sins. You know, Shakespeare knew that, and you're trying to open that up and present it so that the language doesn't seem archaic or remote, and essentially open up the echo of 400 years of human nature. And so as an actor, you're always aware of that, and then to actually hold the pages that are in fact 400 years old is a very unique thing, and one I find really exciting.